How's it going, YouTube? Cuban Chronic here with the 2020 Victory Garden. Hope you guys' 2020 hasn't been as terrible as everyone else's, including mine. But the garden's looking good. Thought I'd give you a little update on what's going on. I got the brew going here behind me. Here's some of the plants. Things looking good here, mid-July. Got some good plants out here. Things looking pretty nice. Light depth, had some aphid trouble in the light depth. Used some Dr. Zymes on that, and everything's looking a little bit better. Yeah, there's all the cannabis looking great in the sunshine, mid-July. Got my veggies over here, giant pumpkin patch. But this particular video is about my brewing setup for the year. I did a video on my Aero mixer I picked up this year, great product. Got the Aero mixer on the left, and these CBC tanks, 330 gallons. Probably running at least, I don't know, 300 gallons on each one. For my 24 that I got out here in 400 gallon pots. Some of the stuff that I use, it looks like a mess right now. I clean up all my garbage. Got some extreme mycos in one. I got my earthworm castings right here. Nice big bag, always gotta have your castings. I use about 10 cups per brew. Got some fish fertilizer. I throw that at the end of my brew, and as always, you got to give them a little bit of molasses so the microbes have something to eat. Here's my setup though. This is what I wanted to show you. Got a sub pump here draining from my irrigation water. Got the big hose here with the big poly. That fills up my big tanks. Fills them up within, I'd say, 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes each. This brewer, I got two of the biggest brewers that Hydro Farm carries them, but these are the biggest ones they have as far as gallons per hour go. They are, here's Hydro Farm. Let me look at the specs for you. I don't see it. 112 watts. Oh, pressure. It doesn't tell you. Anyway, they're quite a bit. It takes a couple of them to do a brew this big though. I like to keep my stuff real well aerated. I don't know, I think they're like 1,500 gallons per hour brew, air pumps here. The largest aquarium pumps, excuse me, you could buy. I use two of them, usually for anywhere from a couple hundred gallons. It's doing well in this 300 gallon tank. You can see your bubbles, you see the aeration. It's looking good. This is my setup. I'm using some old tubing. Sorry, I got my allergies going as usual. Check this out. We got the brew bag. Brew bag, that's got about 10 cups of earthworm castings, 5 pounds of kelp meal, and 5 pounds of alfalfa meal. That's one of my brews that I like to do. It's great for veg state. Microbes are going to supply, the worm castings are going to supply a lot of microbes. And the alfalfa meal and kelp meal are great. They have alfalfa meal has that tricho. I don't know. I'm out in the heat. I've lost my mind, but it has growth hormones in it, both the kelp meal and the alfalfa meal, as well as just regular old NPK nutrients. That's one of the ones I use in veg a lot, between just straight worm casting teas and other brews. Here is my microbial brew. This is the one I mainly want to talk about. Got the Aero mixer running, the air hose coming out. Aero mixer can do up to 5,000 gallon tanks on its own, so it's a badass product. For the price, I paid $80 each at least for those two pumps. It's 160 bucks. I paid about another 50-60 bucks for the Aero mixer, and this sucker is badass. Literally, you could put liquid nutrients into the air hose here, and it will suck it literally and inject it right into your brew. No problem whatsoever. Plus, it doubles as a pump. I usually drop my sub pump in here and pump it through my garden hose and water my garden with a garden hose, pumping my tea out. So I got 600 gallons of tea here. This is a microbial brew. I'm using a micro product, Soil Balance Pro, as I've used in previous years. It's my favorite to use. I also dumped almost a whole bag of extreme mycos wettable powder mycorrhizae. That's just for an extra growth enhancer. I want the roots to reach, and some of these really need it. And I'm gonna brew this for about 18 hours. So about 8 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be looking at about 18 hours from now, and that's usually when I get started, if not a little bit earlier. So yeah, this microbial brew is gonna, the microbes I put in there with the mycorrhizae, and I put about 10 cups of worm castings, 3 shovelfuls to be exact, but I don't really measure. I do it by ear, I do it by eye, I do it by feel, and I think that's how you grow once you get the hang of it. Yeah, so they're gonna get both of these brews tomorrow. I'll probably hit them with the one on the right here first, and then they'll get this microbial brew second. It's a little bit extra work compared to people who just add liquid nutrients and chemical soluble fertilizers and things like that. But this right here, to me, is true organic growing. You have to do a little bit of work. You have to brew your own fertilizer to get the most quality medicine you can. So I've done real well in the past doing this. I hope you guys will try it. Even on a smaller scale, you can do a 5-gallon bucket, you can do a 50-gallon drum, you can do whatever you know, whatever for your application. Even if you're an indoor guy, grow in soil, try out some teas, try out some organics, and see how it goes for you, you know what I mean? It's not always about what's at the hydro store. I go to the grocery store for a lot of things. I go to the feed store for most of my things. You know, I can't say enough about down-to-earth fertilizers, dry amendments, but just showing you guys my little setup this season. Cool thing about the Aero Mixer is you don't even need a tea bag like I showed you where I put my dry ferts into. You literally, I dumped straight worm castings in here, and that thing can cycle particles up to 1.25 inches or something like that. So totally badass. I don't like to do that, it makes a bit of a mess for me, but with just straight worm castings, it's not a problem. If I were to just pour my alfalfa meal and my kelp in here, it would just be a pain to clean the tank out. And that's another key with compost tea brewing, is to always keep your equipment clean and make sure you wash your tanks out, because it can sit there and get anaerobic bacteria growing on your tanks, things like that. So you guys checked out my old videos back at my old farm. I had a mixing pool where I would pump my tea into the pool and then fill it full of water. That was just out of pure spontaneous desire to attempt to do teas. And I would do like a 200-gallon cement tank I had and a couple 50-gallon drums to try to get 300 gallons. Well, I've upgraded these CBC tanks. I believe that's what they're called. These agricultural tanks. Just make sure when you pick these bad boys up that you get them from somebody that it had something either food grade or organic in it. Make sure you don't get ones that were full of Roundup or, you know, agricultural pesticides or things like that. Because, you know, obviously that's going to be not beneficial for you. It's going to be leached into the plastic. But these things are badass, way convenient. They take up almost no space. This is plenty of fluid for my gardens. Way easy to use, great to brew tea in. You open the valve down there by the kitties and fill her full of water and rinse it out. I do a little bit of rinsing. And yeah, they're just great. This is my first year using them. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I got them for 75 bucks each, so not a problem. Picked them up in the pickup, could fit 2 in my pickup, standard bed. Yeah, but I can't say enough about it. If you guys have any questions or any comments, of course leave them. You know, as always, I'm here for whatever you guys want to ask of me. I'm just showing you what I do, and you guys can take it from there. As always, happy growing, and dabs ahoy.